Hello there. Welcome back to Empower Your Soul. Welcome to my summer studio. For those of you that are looking on YouTube, for those of you that are not, I am going to be recording some sessions at my little lake camp, my lake house, because the day I'm recording this, it feels like 110 out, and this is the house that has AC. So I'm here today, and I will likely be here most of the summer trying to do my sessions with all of you, classes, etc. So yeah, I hope you like the new surroundings here in the video here. So for those of you that are not on the video, and actually for all of you, I wanted to talk about today about how I have been going galactic in my readings, and I had absolutely no idea. So this is a whole new genre for me. And I'm going to get into how I discovered I was galactic, what information I uncovered so far, and where I'm at, and kind of what my next steps are, and just what my observations are so far. And apologies in advance if you are somebody that has already been in the galactic space for quite a while, and or you know way more than me, because if you do any sort of galactic work, chances are you know way more than me at this point. This is entirely new for me, and I'm going to talk about that as well. But yeah, let's go galactic in today's podcast episode, and this is going to be so interesting. So how this started is I have been mentoring with a lovely friend of mine who is so divinely connected with spirit, and she's one of the few people, honestly, that I trust with my own development. And spirit has told me no more classes. So, but mentorships apparently are okay with my friend. So I'm going to take that. So I've been working with her over the past few months because if you're a medium and you're trying to do this work, you know the energy has been really wonky. And some days it's really good and some days it's not so good. And we have all these solar flares going on. So needless to say, I'm like, I just need a little bit of grounding and just a little bit of direction and guidance, because as always, when we're doing our own work, we tend to get in our own heads and or are biased with our own development journey. And so part of my development with her, spirit told me to pay attention to what frequency I'm in and during readings. And I have been, and it's not like I was getting it wrong, but they're like, pay attention to what evidential mediumship feels like. Pay attention to what Akashic Records feels like, and psychic records, psychic readings feel like. And so I have been doing that. And it was a really interesting exercise for me because I just kind of set the intention and go. I don't necessarily check the vibrational level that I'm at, but that is what they asked me to do. So needless to say, that was on purpose, because I got to a reading after I was able to distinguish the energy levels of this. And when I was doing this reading, I felt like I was floating the whole time. I felt like I was untethered, ungrounded, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I did like this body scan in the middle of this reading with my client, and I'm like, what is going on? I can't tell if this is, I'm setting the intention to connect to guides, but I'm not, it doesn't feel like guides energetically for me. So I went back to my dear mentor, and I'm like, can we talk about this reading I had? Like, it was a good reading. I got really good information, but I felt like I was literally high as a kite this entire reading. And she just gave me this fucking smart ass grin, looked at me and said, "You went galactic." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You couldn't place the frequency, right?" And I was like, "No, I couldn't place it." She's like, "You went galactic. This was a cosmic reading that you gave your client and you had no idea." And number one, I started laughing. Number two, it blew my mind. It blew my mind because this is not something I consciously have ever thought of or intended to do. But when she said it, it all kind of made sense. And all these really wonky things that have happened in my readings over the years all started kind of clicking into place. So to give you some examples, and right now, all I can tell you is that reading felt really floaty. But in other readings I've had, for example, when I went to get my IET Master Teacher Certification, we had to essentially do some healing with a partner and like do a master level healing, master teacher level healing on everybody. If you're hearing the door slam, apologies. This is the problem of being in a 600 square foot house with my daughter who's home today. Unedited and authentic, everybody. I'm just going to put it out there. So, so in that IET master level healing that I received, I mean, I felt very similar. I was like floating, and I could see myself literally just floating in the galaxy around, surrounded by stars. And I'm like, what? Where did we go? And she's like, I have no idea. I was like, that's the weirdest thing. And I just kind of left it at that. It felt amazing. It felt like I was getting healing at the same time as I was actually getting the healing through IET. Like, it was felt like, now that I know galactic level healing, or like maybe light codes, I don't know. At the same time that I was actually getting the IET readings as well. So it was really, really cool. In addition, I also have an incredible mentee that, hey girl, if you're listening, that in the first session with her, I also set the intention to connect with her guides. I'm like, let's see what your guides have to say. And I always like to tap into the guides beforehand and then in the reading to give the information. And when I looked for the guides, they weren't there. There was no spirit guide there. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. That's really weird. And she's like, oh, I have a council. I'm like, you have a what now? She's like, I have a council. So I literally was like, oh, okay. So I literally did this like guided meditation right in the session with her. And I'm like, okay, so let's just go across the galaxy and find your council so we can get you some advice and some feedback. So in that session, we both kind of like, I walked her through it. We like both envisioned going up and out and into the galaxy and way across the galaxy. And I was like, not there yet, not there yet. Okay, there it is. And I could describe, this council, like, this is going to be funny. I don't think I told her this, but now you're hearing it. I could see it. I had to knock on the door. I'd be like, hey, I'm here for this person. Can we chat? And then like I joined her. I gave some of the message, and then I was like, they want to talk to you without me. So they're going to give you some of the message too. So we did kind of all of that in the mentorship session with her. And then after we hung up the phone, I went back. I was like, I need to know more about this galactic council or whatever this is. So I literally like went back, through the clouds, through the galaxy, past the stars, took a left, at the Milky Way, whatever it is. And I literally knocked on the door. I'm like, hey, can we talk? And they were like, no. So that happened. And then what was so cool is like, as I was thinking back about all these galactic experiences I've had, I remember doing an Akashic Records past life with a friend / client of mine. And and it was very similar. I could see that they were like living in a water world, and I didn't know anything better. I think I called it like Atlantis because I didn't know any better, but I don't think it was Atlantis. I think it was just like a place that had a lot of water, and they like lived in the water, and it was weird. And like the visual was weird. It had something like, it's definitely not like a past life on Earth. So I have connected cosmically, galactically in readings with clients, but I never thought about it, put two and two together. And the information has historically come in the same way as my mediumship does, as my spirit guide connections, as my Akashic Records does. And so that's why I didn't really think anything of it at all. But it's just so interesting that she's like, you went galactic, period, end stop. And I have to be honest with you, it's something that I really struggle with because, for Christ's sake, my last name is Pope, right? Like, I am okay, and I have been around, I'm going to say the Christian, Catholic me, Christian version of the spirit world my entire life, right? It is not far-fetched for me to think about angels and ascended masters. That was my Boston coming out there. And archangels. Yep, there's the bell. I hope you heard it. It's not far-fetched for me to have that background and know what they are and be able to connect with them. And I already know who a lot of them are, right? And so the galactic is quite literally out there for me. But if you asked me, do I think that we're alone on this planet or like in the galaxy? No, we are not the only planet that has life, right? Do I think that Earth is the only place that we reincarnate to? Like, also no. I've said that over and over again. But for some reason, I have this vast distrust. And I want to underline the word distrust for all of you, but I think it's because I don't know anything about it, but I do have this vast distrust about the galactic world, as well as a lot of the teachers and social media influencers that I've really seen out there on the subject. Like, it, honest to God, everyone I talk to, it feels like ancient aliens. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in that version of this. Can we just talk about it? So I've tended to just stay away from it. And again, I think the distrust there, Spirit is kind of in my head talking about, is that because I don't know anything about it and I don't trust anyone that wants to teach this stuff about it, because in my dumbass mind, I'm like, well, at least the Bible had stuff about the angels and ascended masters. So there's some sort of a physical basis or like a logical basis for this stuff. But in the galactic stuff, there's not a lot there, at least in my experience. You can probably prove me wrong right now with all this other stuff like the crop circles and Stonehenge and all these things, right? But I don't know any of it. So true to form, Spirit knew about my immense skepticism and knew that I would absolutely like sprint out of this galactic modality faster than when I tell my kids to put sunscreen on, right? Like, so when my mentor said, "You're going galactic," I heard it from literally the one person I would have trusted to say that to me. Not only that, but when I said, okay, because she's lovely. And I'm like, bullshit, but okay. So if I was going to go and learn this, who would I learn it from? Who would I learn more about this from? And she, wouldn't you know, has another mentee that she adores and trusts that she gave me a referral to. It's like the Spirit in my head is showing me like a hole-in-one. It's the equivalent of what this was like for me. Now, she's not a teacher, although I could probably poke her and have her teach me a couple things. But she is an amazing galactic channeler. So I immediately signed up to get a reading from her. And when I say that this blew my mind, and I'm going to go through some of the stuff she covered, it blew my mind, like literally out there into the galaxy. So let's lay out the scene for all of you, because number one, she knew I was a mutual friend of her mentors, right? And she knew really nothing about me besides maybe a little bit of a background that I talked to dead people, right? So she knew nothing about me. I literally knew nothing about her. She has no social media, or I didn't know it at the time. She has no website. I received her phone number and had to text her to set up this session. It's like old school back in the day, right? Like that's how I used to have to do it too with my sessions. She's totally under the radar. And she doesn't, because I got her phone number, like she doesn't really have like an intake form. Like I tell her what time, I Venmo her money, and then she sends me a Zoom link like 20 minutes before the session. So that's literally how this went. She doesn't do these intake forms. And actually, even before a session, she likes to kind of ask people before she goes into this like cosmic channeling that she does. But with me, she was like, my team told me just to go. And my team was like, yep. And as I'm kind of saying this out loud, Spirit's reminding me that was all the evidence I needed, that she walked in not knowing me, not knowing my background, not knowing anything that I've experienced before, anything about me. And she just immediately went into the galactic realm, and I went with her. So we both knew nothing. Wild, right? Wild. So what was so weird about getting this reading from her is that the sensations in my body were so similar to kind of what I've already talked about. I felt very lightheaded. I felt like this channel of light coming out of my head, which I think I received on the first time I ever had a Reiki session done, right? Like, so not only were things that were going on in my body felt very similar to what I've experienced before, but she actually described what they actually were for me. So she could actually like put words to, I feel this. She's like, oh, well, that's this. So she was able to give me logic and reason behind what I felt. This is the common theme. She gave me logic and reason behind what I felt. And so she, as we kind of got into this galactic channeling method and we kind of get into this meditative state, she relayed information, I feel hilarious even saying this, about my galactic origins and purpose. And it was actually a really evidential reading because she had said things that my guides have told me before. She described my love of the water and how water is a spiritual conduit for me. I'm literally at my lake house recording this. Is that an accident? It's not an accident. She described seeing Merlin as a guide, as somebody who delivers messages for me. And yeah, that's my guide. She also mentioned how I have been in my family lineage clearing out and healing the wounded divine masculine, and how once that's done, I'll be moving into healing the divine feminine in my lineage, which is absolutely something I'm working on right now. And I feel like I'm at the cusp of just starting the divine feminine. And this was weeks ago that I had the session. So yes, she was actually spot on with that stuff. She also relayed to me information that I've known for quite some time. But where it got really crazy is that it felt a little bit more like ancient aliens, because again, she gave me the why behind a lot of what I know. So for example, she gave me the why behind how I just know things, all these inner knowings that I have. She gave me the why of why I love water and nature, because I'm a Syrian starseed descent, right? She gave me the why behind why I felt like I needed to study shamanism. Because if you've heard me in my shamanistic podcast, I don't know why I needed to sign up for it. Spirit was hounding me over and over again. Study shamanism. She said, go learn, go sit with trees, study shaman. And I was like, okay, I don't know why. Okay, I'll go do that. So I needed to study it because I needed to be grounded really deep into the earth's energies to link into the galactic channels. So it's like a tree. The larger the root system, the taller the tree, the easier it is for me to connect galactically. Clearing out that ancestral lineage we talked about, it's because I need to keep my vibrational level extremely high to fulfill my soul's mission on earth. She even talked about timelines and how, and I've said this before, the people around you can be living in different timelines. And I think in one podcast when I channeled the Akashic Records, I think it was more about different places have different timelines, but she's like, in the same place, people can have different timelines. You can, I love the way she described it, because she's just like, that's why there's people out there that are flat earthers. Those people that are very deeply religious. Those people that are extremely woo-woo, and all of these people living in the same reality, but having completely different experiences and perspectives, because their truth is based on the timeline they're in, and they literally can't see the other one. And I was like, that's probably the most logical thing I've heard ever, because how the fuck do we still have flat earthers around here? Like what, like there must be something really weird. And she's like, they're in a different timeline. They literally can't see that the earth is round. And I was like, okay. So again, felt like ancient aliens. Okay. There is a million other examples that I could talk about, because now that I've spent hours with her, like my mind is blown. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm kind of going to get here in a second. There's a lot of stuff that I'm like, okay, makes sense. But then there's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, little more leery on, little more distrusting about, because, and I'll be honest with you, the stuff that I really liked was the why, the reason, the logic. Big surprise for all of you, obviously. What I was not so keen on was a lot of the stuff that goes on here, like the negative, the low vibration stuff, because she went into a lot of these things about how there's battles for ascension, about how Earth is kind of the center of the universe, and that's why it's so important that we ascend to 5D, and there's actually like aliens coming and already living here that are helping us ascend to the 5D, but there's people that want to anchor it in place, right? Like I can understand all of it, but I'm really skeptical about a lot of it. And by the way, like there's no evidence, practical information with all of it. And so it's really fun, I think, to think about, and it makes me curious, but I will always be the one who takes away, let's talk about the practical, let's talk about the reality of things, and what can we actually do that are going to help us here on planet Earth? What can I do that are actually going to make me not need to come back again, make you not need to come back again, right? And so So I'm kind of listening to it all, taking some of it with a grain of salt. The other stuff is really anchoring for me and making a lot of sense. But either way, the whole scenario, the whole perspective of this was just so intriguing to me. It was so intriguing to me. I do have one more session with her. If there's any huge downloads, I'll certainly keep you posted. But a lot of what my galactic homework was essentially resting. So, and I think this is probably why I love the galactic realm the best. So far, it's the best because my homework was to rest, everybody. My homework was I need to stay as high vibe as possible because when I'm high vibe, I've said this to several clients, many clients, when you're a high vibe, it's not just you, your vibration scatters out like a ripple effect and it impacts all the people that are around you, all the people that like are in your energy awareness, energy vibration, right? Like my family, my daughter who's opening doors over here, the dog that's barking to go outside, right? Like when I'm high vibe, that rubs off on everybody else. But it's not just that, it's bigger than that because it rubs off on the vibration of Earth too. So my homework was to rest. And it was to stay as high vibe as possible. And I was like, this sounds amazing. I will take my massage and my spa day and I will say the galactic sent me and I will send them the bill. Why not? Right? The other homework I got was to write down my dreams, which have been absurd lately. Absurd. And also what was so interesting was the first night, set intentions. The last one was set intentions before bed about what you want the galactic to do. They're like, because she's like, you can't learn all this during the daytime when you're in your conscious mind. You have to be asleep. You have to like do astral travel and go and learn these things while you're sleeping. You don't need to consciously remember everything you're learning because you're going to put it into practice and integrate it into your energy anyway. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, I guess. But it was really interesting because the first night I was like, all right, take me where you got to go. Show me what I got to see. And I remember dreaming, and it was like a flash. I remember dreaming I was like out there in the Galactic Council and I was like, hey guys, I'm here for class. And then I don't remember anything after that, but I could see it in my head, and I have seen that vision a couple times before. So it is really rad. So here's kind of the bottom line of what I have discerned about some of this galactic stuff from the readings that I've gotten with her, from chatting with my team afterwards, from kind of connecting to the Akashic records and trying to understand more after. Whether or not this podcast episode, aliens, etc., resonates with you, and whether you know it or not, you're likely galactic too. We don't come here, again, I've said this, Earth is not a beginner planet. It's not. So you're probably somewhat galactic and or have cosmic origins or have reincarnated on other planets before. And not just one, many planets. Not just like, I'm just Syrian, like she said, because she called out several different places. And I think that's what scratches my head about all this, is that like people know about the Lemurians, people, I guess that's Earth, right? Lemuria and I can't even say it. Atlantis are like here on Earth, right? Ancient civilizations here, but Palladians, right? Lyrans, I'm probably saying that wrong, right? Syrians, right? We know about these, but can we really, do we just know about 3 or 4 of them? Aren't there hundreds and thousands of them? And that's why I get so stuck in the semantics of this stuff and why I don't trust anybody, because everybody says they're Palladian. Okay, probably, but what are we missing? Because there's way more than just Palladians and Syrians and Lyrans, and there's a bunch of them. I know there's a couple that start with A. I can't remember them. Obviously have my homework to do. But why do we need to learn about this stuff? And I think it's just really interesting because we on planet Earth are also galactic. We are a planet just like every other planet. We are a civilization just like every other civilization out there in the universe. So for us to have that very centric view, very selfish, self-centered view that it's just Earth, we're just us, and then everybody else is them, they're galactic but we're not galactic, that's bullshit. We all know that's bullshit. I'm sure that the energies, just on the micro level where my energy is influencing you as you listen to this podcast, it's no different, because the planet of Mother Earth, the energy of Earth is influencing all of the other planets in the ecosystem too. There's the dings for you. And so like Earth is no different. It is part of this galactic cosmic web of tide energy. And that's why we need to be aware that, yeah, the vibration of Earth is impacting more than we could even fathom or to understand. Do I think there are aliens among us? Yes, I do. I would have answered the same thing before this kind of galactic awakening that I'm happening. One of my friends actually has videos of aliens, and a few of my mentees have videos of aliens. So yeah, I do think that they are all around us. And I also found that these readings, these galactic readings, can be so extremely evidential for those who are in the metaphysical field and really help you understand the why behind your soul's plan in this lifetime. Not only that, and I think here's the biggest like mic drop that I want to give all of you. I feel like these galactic readings are going to end up being a big part of my future just because the galactic seems to be a little bit like the Akashic records, and there is this massive wealth of information for those of us that are trying to innovate, solve things differently, and dare I say, like actually try to save the planet, improve the vibration of the planet. And so the Akashic records is really cool, but if you've been in there, it tends to be like Jeopardy a little bit. You have to ask a lot of questions. So you have to come with a general basis of understanding. And of course, our brains will bias us to the information that we are receiving, which means that we might not be getting the full story from the Akashic records. Yeah, we're getting the answers we asked for and or maybe expected, but at the same time, it might not be the broadest brush of information, the most expansive, the most innovative information, because we're just not open to receiving it at that level. We're not open to receiving the vast knowledge from across the universe. And so being able to be open to the galactic experience, the mindset, the idea that there's other planets' knowledge, people out there that know so much more than us, that are light years ahead of us, right? That have already solved the problem for moving from 3D to 5D. How do we tap into that knowledge, that wealth of information, so that we can make our lives better here on Earth? And I think that's why I will likely be incorporating more galactic stuff into my service offerings, my work. Maybe it's just for me. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I let spirit lead me with all this stuff. So stay tuned, more on that. But in terms of what's next for me in particular, I will be continuing to explore this galactic space with obviously very, very heavy discernment because I'm not sure. Again, I believe everything. I trust everything, but I'm going to be open to receiving it. And this is my intention as I speak this out loud to all of you. I'm going to be open to receiving it, and I will figure out what to take, what not to take, and figure out my journey with this galactic work, because it is going to be very interesting and out of my norm. Although I did love in high school, I did love my quantum physics class. It was the best class because I was a junior in a class with all the seniors. And this teacher was the joke teacher. I mean, he was a really smart guy. Really, he was a young guy, played guitar. He was in a local band. It was actually really funny in high school to have a teacher that was in a band. I digress for a moment. But when we got through all the physics with the seniors who took this class as a joke, there were 3 of us left in the class that were juniors. And every day he would take us, it was at lunchtime, he would take us over to the pizza place, and we would sit and talk about quantum physics. We would talk about Schrodinger's cat, right? Like, it was so fucking cool. So I guess I'm not surprised that I love the idea of all of this galactic stuff and like the quantum realm and all these things, because it's so cool. It is so interesting. And my brain comes from science. So like, if you have science that literally proves the existence of 2 electrons or whatever they are that are universes apart, and one influences the other in the exact same moment, like, that is cool. That's what I'm here to learn. That's what I'm here to kind of share with all of you and expand your knowledge on as well. So that's it. I have asked my team to find me a teacher. I think that I found her. So I think I'll be signing up for a class or 2, because that's how my team does it. I'm like, where's my teacher? And they're like, here you go, silver platter. It was wild though, because I Googled it. I Googled starseed teacher. Literally Googled that. And then as I was scrolling down, I was like, nope, nope, nope. And then as soon as I saw this woman's name, I got a huge energy ping and I was like, let me learn more about her. I clicked on her website and I was like, I'm not thrilled with her service offerings. Most of her classes are like over on YouTube. I'm like, I will need someone to like ask questions about. And then in the reading, my woman mentioned her name. She's like, she might be a really good teacher for you. I'm like, oh, fuck you, spirit. Fine. So there that is. So stay tuned for more galactic downloads, more information. I think the class I'm going to take starts in the fall. So it'll probably be a galactic free summer unless something big pops up on my last reading. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what your perspective of the galactic is. What do you think? What do you know? Where are you from? I would love to learn more about it. And by the way, if you're a Marvel fan like me, most of that stuff is like in the galactic realm. Big surprise, right? Big surprise. All right, I'm out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. From my soul to yours, take care.